Daf Yomi, Tractate Sanhedrin, page 19a, top of the page. Yud Tes Amud Aleph with the words Ve'ein ose doche lo taseh ve'aseh ela min ha'eres shel amai yavo aseh v'yitche lo taseh. And there is a principle that a positive mitzvah by itself does not override both a prohibition and a positive mitzvah. But as for the ruling that he does not consummate levirate marriage with the widow from betrothal, why not? The positive mitzvah to consummate levirate marriage should come and override the prohibition. Gezerah bia reshoina atu bia shnia. The Gemara answers, the first act of intercourse is prohibited by rabbinic decree due to the likelihood of a second act of intercourse. Although the first act of intercourse would fulfill the positive mitzvah of consummating the levirate marriage, which would override the prohibition against a high priest engaging in intercourse with a widow, any further intercourse would not be in fulfillment of a mitzvah and would not override the prohibition. Therefore, due to the possibility that the high priest and the Yavama would engage in intercourse a second time, the sages decreed that even the first act is forbidden. Tanya Namini Hachi. This is also taught in Brisa. Brisa would support this. Im kadmu ubadu bia rishoina kanu, v'asur lekaimon b'bia shnia. If the high priest or one whose Yavama is forbidden to him went ahead and engaged in a first act of intercourse with her, he acquired her as a wife, but it is prohibited to retain that woman as a wife for a second act of intercourse. So then how is he your wife? He's a wife you can't have relations with? That's weird. Meis lo. Meis. Tanu Rabbanan. Umin hamigdash lo yetze imahem. אבל יוצא הוא אחריהן כיצד, הן נכסין והוא נגלה, הן נגלין והוא נכסה. The Mishnah teaches with regard to the high priest that if a relative of his died, he does not follow the buyer carrying the corpse. The sages taught in a Braita the verse concerning the high priest which states, and from the temple he shall not emerge. Leviticus 21:12 means he shall not emerge with them as they escort the buyer, but he emerges after them. How so? Once they are concealed from sight by turning onto another street, he is revealed on the street they departed, and when they are revealed, then he is concealed. V'yotzi ad petach Shapir Kamar Yehuda. The Mishnah teaches Rabbi Meir's opinion that in the manner just described to escort the deceased, the high priest emerges with them until the entrance of the gate of the city, which is contrasted with Rabbi Yehuda's opinion that he does not leave the temple at all. The Gemara comments Rabbi Yehuda is saying well, and his statement is consistent with the straightforward meaning of the verse, and from the temple he shall not emerge. Leviticus 21:12. Amar lach Rabbi Meir, ihachi beso namilo, elahachi kamar min hamikdash lo yetze, mikedushato lo yetze, v'chivan de'isle, hekera lo yasi leminaga. The Gemara responds, Rabbi Meir could have said to you, if so, that you understand the verse so narrowly, he should not go out to his house as well, but should be required to stay in the temple. Rather, this is what it is saying. And from the temple he shall not emerge means from his sanctity he shall not emerge by contracting ritual impurity. And since he has a distinctive indicator in that he does not walk together with those accompanying the buyer, he will not come to touch the buyer and contract impurity. Rabbi Yehuda agav mare dilma mikre yasi v'naga. The Gemara asks, and how would Rabbi Yehuda respond? The Gemara explains there is still cause for concern that on account of his bitterness due to the death of his loved one, perhaps it will happen that he comes and touches the buyer. Therefore, a more restrictive regimen of separation is necessary. Keshu menachem, tanu rabbanan keshu oiver b'shua, lenachem zacherem zgan b'shuach, she'ov ha'bimino v'rosh be'avbezn v'venu v'chol am mismoiloi. וכשהוא עומד בשורה ובתנחם מאחרים, סגם ימינו, לראש בית האב וכל העם משמאלו. The Mishnah teaches that when he consoles others in their mourning, when they return from burial, the way all people is that they pass, the way of all the people is that they pass by one after another, and the mourners stand in a line and are consoled. And the appointed person stands in the middle between him and the people. The sages taught in a Braita to Sefta 4:1 in a more detailed manner. When the high priest passes by in the line to console others, the deputy high priest and the former anointed high priest who has served temporarily and then stepped down are on his right, and the head of the patrilineal family appointed over the priestly watch performing the sacrificial rites that day in the temple, and the mourners and all the people are on his left. And when he is standing in the line among the other mourners and is consoled by others, the deputy high priest is on his right, and the head of the patrilineal family and all the people are on his left. Aval Meshuach. Chasidish, a person will say Mashiach. Aval Meshuach. She'avar lo asiga b'may taima. Chol shedai te sova al-kachadi bi amarav papa. Shma mino me'ahamas nisa tlas. Shma mino. Hainu sigan hainu mimune. Ushma mino avelim moim nuchol am. Oivren ushma mino avelim nismol ha. Menachamin hein oimdin. The Gemara infers, but the previously anointed one does not come before him. What is the reason? The high priest will become distraught. He will think, he is happy about me in my bereaved state. Rav Papa said, learn from it, from this Braita, 3 matters. Learn from it that the deputy high priest is the same as the appointed person, as the Braita is referring to the deputy high priest in the same function described by the Mishnah as the appointed one. And learn from it that the way of consoling in a line is that the mourners stand and all the people pass by and console them. And learn from it that the custom is that the mourners stand to the left of the consolers. Tanu Rabbanan, the sages taught in Braita, Barishona hayu abinim amdin yechol am oivrin, hayu shtei mishpacha is Yerushalayim nisgor ha'is zo bezo, zois ha'meres ani overes techila, vezois ha'meres ani overes techila, hiskinu shehea am amdin vavelim oivrin. The sages taught in Braita, initially the mourners would stand, and all the people would pass by one after another, and console them, and there were 2 families in Jerusalem who would fight with each other. As this one would say, we pass by first because we are more distinguished and important. And that one would say, we pass by first. Consequently, they decreed that the people should all not get any snacks. No, I'm just kidding. They decreed that the people should stand and the mourners pass by, and disputes would be avoided. Chazar Yehalach V'Sipar Siman. The Gemara presents a mnemonic for the following discussion: returned and walk and converse. Amar Rami Bar Abba, Echzir B'Yosi Es Devar Le'Oshne B'Tzipoiri, Shuaved Moim B'Chol HaMe'Oivrin, V'Amar Bar Abba Hitkin Rabbi Yosi B'Tzipoiri, Shelo Yitehei Isha Maleches B'Shuk Uveno Achera, Mshum Maaseh Shehaya. V'Amar Rami Bar Abba, התקין רבי יוסי בציפורי שיהיו נושים מספרויס בבית הכיסא Mishum Yichud. Interesting. Rami Bar Abba says Rabbi Yossi returned the matter to its former custom in Sippori, his city, that mourners would stand and all the people would pass. And Rami Bar Abba says Rabbi Yossi instituted an ordinance in Sippori that a woman should not walk in the market and have her son follow behind her. Rather, he should walk in front of her because of an incident that happened in which bandits abducted a child and assaulted the mother when she came searching for him in his place of captivity. And Rami Bar Abba says Rabbi Yossi instituted an ordinance in Sippori that women should converse in the bathroom because of the restrictions on women being secluded with men. Since the public bathrooms were outside the city, a man might enter and take advantage of a woman, but he would be warded off by the woman's conversation. I don't get that. No, I can't hear that. These women are talking. No. Anyway, Amar Menashe Bar Ut. Menashe Bar Ut. Amar Menashe Bar Ut. She'elis Rabbi Yoshia Rabba Bebeis Almin Dehutzal Amar Li Ein Shua Pachusa Misal B'nei Adam Ben Avelim Min Aminyan Ben Shevavelim Moimdim Nuchol Moivrin Ben Shevavelim Moivrin Nuchol Moimdim. Rabbi Menashe Bar Ut says, I asked a question of Rabbi Yoshia the Great in the cemetery of Huzal, and he said this halacha to me: there is no line for consoling mourners with fewer than 10 people, and the mourners are not included in the count. The minimum number of consolers applies whether the mourners stand and all the people pass by, or the mourners pass by and all the people stand. כי מנחם הוא אחריני, איך יאמר לו תושבם, והוא אומר, תתנחמו, איך ידע מאילמה, כי מנחם יחריני. לדידי אמר לו, איהו, תתנחמו, נחשה, קרמי לו, אלא, כי מנחם נחריני, אמר לו, תתנחמו, שמע מינה. The Mishnah teaches that when he is consoled by others in his mourning, all the people say to him, we are your atonement. And he says to them, may you be blessed from heaven. A dilemma was raised before the sages. When the high priest consoles others, what should he say to them? Come and hear an answer from a Braita. And he says, may you be consoled. The Gemara asks, what are the circumstances in which he says this? If we say that when others console him in his mourning, he says to them, may you be consoled, this does not make sense, because he would be throwing a curse at them by saying that they too will need to be consoled. Rather, it must mean when he consoles others, he says to them, may you be consoled. Learn from the Braita that this is what he says to console others. Melech lo dan Amar Rav Yosef lo shon el malchei Yisrael al malchei beis David dan v'daninotan dichtiv Beit David kol Hashem dino laboker mishpat. Ve'ilo dayani le inu hechi dayani יכתיב יזכוישו וכוישו, ואומר משלוקש קשות עצמך ואחר כך קשות אחרים. The Mishnah teaches the king does not judge and is not judged. Rav Yosef says that they taught this halacha only with regard to the kings of Israel, who were violent and disobedient of Torah laws. Well, the kings of Judah were also, or David were also evil. Achaz was wicked. Manasseh was wicked. Anyway, who were violent and disobedient to Torah laws, but with regard to the kings of the house of David, the kings judges and is judged. As is written, O house of David, so says the Lord, execute justice in the morning. Jeremiah 21:12. If they do not judge him, how can he judge? But isn't it written, gather yourselves together? Yes, gather yourselves. Zephaniah 2:1. Rishlaki says, this verse teaches a moral principle. Adorn yourself first, and then adorn others, meaning one who is not subject to judgment may not judge others, since it is understood from the verse in Jeremiah that kings from the Davidic dynasty can judge others. It is implicit that they can also be judged. Ela Malchei Yisrael my time alo Mishum Ma'aseh Shehoya Te'avdei Diyanai Malka Katal Nafsha Amar Lahu Shimon ben Shetach Lechachomim Tenu Einechem Bo Unidunu Shalchu Lahu Avda Katal Nafsha Shadrei Lahu Shalchu Le Ta'ant Nami Lahacha Huad Bibalav Amar Torah Yavo Bala Shor Yamod Al Shorom. The Gemara asks, but what is the reason that others do not judge the kings of Israel? It is because of an incident that happened. As the slave of Yanai the king killed a person, Shimon ben Shetach said to the sages, put your eyes on him and let us judge him. They sent word to Yanai, your slave killed a person. Yanai sent the slave to them. They sent word to Yanai, you also come here. As the verse states with regard to an ox that gored a person to death, he should be testified against with his owner. Exodus 21:29. The Torah stated the owner of the ox should come and stand over his ox. Guess what's being judged? Asa v'yosiv Amar Shimon ben Shetach Yanai HaMelech Amod al raglecha ve'idu bach ולא לפנינו אתה עומד, אלא לפני מי שאמר והיה העולם אתה עומד, שנאמר ועמדו שני אנשים אשר לא הריב. אמר לו, לא, כשתאמר אתה, אלא כמה שיאמרו חבריך. The Gemara continues to narrate the incident. Yanai came and sat down. Shimon ben Shetach said to him, Yanai the king, stand on your feet, and witnesses will testify against you. And it is not before us that you are standing to give us honor, but it is before the one who spoke and the world came into being that you are standing. As it is stated, then both the people between whom the controversy is shall stand before the Lord, before the priests and the judges that shall be in those days. Deuteronomy 19:17. Yanai the king said to him, I will not stand when you alone say this to me, but according to what your colleagues say, and if the whole court tells me, I will stand.